Welcome back. My name is Neil Moorcraft. This is Automate, and in this module we're going to dive into Google Workspace, and we're going to set up your domain name and look at your email, your contacts, and then a suite of Google products including analytics, ads, my business, search console. Now if you've already got a domain name, you might just want to transfer that domain over. It's quite likely that you've got an existing website, but I would advise you not to do that at this point, but instead create a keyword-rich domain, which is what we're going to do today, moving on from the previous video when we did that little bit of keyword research. And the reason for that is once you do that with Google and you've got an email address associated with a Google domain, it becomes very easy then to add all these other products. You can keep it separate, and ultimately when the time comes, if you want to migrate either your existing website over to the new domain or vice versa, that's a pretty simple process. So this is less watching and more doing, so we're going to dive straight in, look over at Google and set that domain up based, as I say, on that keyword research that we did yesterday. So in your Asana Workspace, you'll see now that this Google Workspace is the task that we're on, and in there you'll find a link to google.com Workspace. I'll just go to that now. And you're going to be presented with a page like this. Now, depending on what you need for your business, you're either going to want to choose the Business Standard or the Business Starter. Business Starter is going to be fine for this particular project. I'm just putting your name here. This will be 186 Cloud, and then you just tick the details and click continue. It'll ask you to put in contact details. I'm going to use the name of the client in this instance, and then just whatever existing email address you've got there at the moment. Now when you get to this point, it's going to ask you if you want a domain or whether you've got one. If you've got one, as I say, you can use that. If not, you can click no, I need one, and that will take you to the domain name registration page. Now I took the liberty of doing this yesterday after my research. Unified Communications Technology was the domain that I wanted. You see that's actually gone now, but the reason for that is I've gone off and purchased that already. So I'm going to pick up where I left off, and that is here. Here, and just complete this order process, and that'll take us through to the next phase. Now once we've done that, as I say, we've then got an email address with Google, we've got a domain with Google, and then we're going to set up the Google suite and look at your calendar and all that kind of stuff. So you might want to make a bookmark of this. I'll tell you in a minute at the end of this presentation how best to save your bookmark folders, but it's all fairly self-explanatory. Okay, so that's now done as far as the Google Workspace is concerned, and you can see you've got access to all these other products there which you may or may not be familiar with. You don't need to worry too much about those at this point. Your email, calendar and contacts is already part of this suite, so we can go to manage your Google account and have a look in here just to make sure that you've got all of the details in there correctly. Once you've done that, we can pop over to Google Analytics, and we can start just setting up these accounts and linking them to that account. Now you note that I'm already signed in here because of the process that I've just been through. If not, you'll just sign in, and we're going to start measuring. Account name 186 Cloud. Okay, 186 Cloud. That's fine, you can leave all those ticked. Property name 186 Cloud, that'd be the name of your website there, of course. You want to make sure you've got it in the right time zone as well, and then just set the currency if you want to. Whatever UK is in there, I'm sure it's in there somewhere, of course. There we go. Oh, no, pounds, there we go. Okay, and then just next. Tell Google a little bit about your business. It is important to set these categories actually, because later on, as you'll see, when we set up my Google page, you can get some SEO juice there. So you just want to make sure that you spend just a little bit of time making sure that you're ticking the right boxes. we ultimately want to tick all of these, and when you do this you're going to get some marketing emails from Google, but that's all good stuff. They're going to give you some tips and tricks that you can use moving forward. Change this again to United Kingdom, set the data agreement, set that and continue. Yep, no, yep. And that is now your analytics set up. Now we're going to come back obviously into this and I'll show you how to install the tracking code on your website once you've got it. But now we've got that part set up, we can come out of analytics and move on to the next stage, which is Google Ads account. So again, just follow the process. So we're looking for a new Google Ads account in this instance. And again, it will talk us through a quick setup as if we're setting up a campaign to start with, and that's fine. We can do that. We'll come back to it and do another campaign later. But what we want to do is just make sure that we've got the Google account set up. So you can go through this process if you want to at this stage, but actually now that it's even done that registration, we don't need to. And as I say, we're going to come back into this later and we're going to use Aori, which is a separate bit of software, to create the campaign and link it into this Google account. So for now, we don't need to do anything. That's it. We can move on to Google My Business. And it really is as simple as this. Now, even if you don't have a physical location, you're going to want to create a Google My Business account, as I say, mainly because you get a bit of SEO juice, but also because Google rank their map listings above the natural search. So if you do a search online, you'll find that those map listings get priority. So we want to make sure that we're in them. We're just going to add our business to Google. 186 Cloud. Create a business in that name. Business category, telecoms, telecommunications, service provider. You can add more there, and it is worth doing that, but for now you just need to pick one that's a good match. No, we don't want customers coming to that location. The areas that you serve, now again, this is just taking this information and it's just going to position your ad in the right place. So this is all of the UK. And phone number, at this point, I'm just going to put my mobile number in. That doesn't really matter at this stage. Obviously, you want to put your actual phone number in. You've got one. And then HTTPS is just the secure domain. That's the secure socket layer on the domain. And we want to make sure that we've got that set up. So instead of www or HTTP, you want HTTPS. And then the domain name is Unified Communications.technology. Now that .technology, by the way, is one of many new top-level domains. You'll probably notice now that the .co.uk and the .coms have been expanded, and any new top-level domain is pretty much any word in the dictionary. So, you know, this worked perfectly, of course, for this particular example. But you could have .coach or .home or .this or .that or .whatever. And again, it's important to make sure that you've done that little bit of keyword research and using that keyword within the domain name. Yeah, we can keep updated. That's fine. That's fine. And then literally this will just finish that process. Now the address I'm going to send is going to be my address at home, because we don't have an office address. I'm just going to send it to my address here, and attention from me. Now what that's going to do is just send out a card in the post for you with a code on it, and when you get that code, you come back into Google My Business, you pop the code in, that will verify your account with them. And until you do that, there's not an awful lot you can do. So that takes a few days to come in the post. In the meantime, say we'll finish that process. You can then come in and start putting in your opening hours. I'm just going to put all of these as open 24/7 for this point so we can get to the next stage. No, I'm not. open 24 hours. There we go. 24 hours. And again, you know, if you have got specific opening times, you want to make sure that you put the right ones in here. Do it once, and then obviously you can forget about it. Business description, I might just nick that from 186 home. So let's just copy that little bit of content, maybe, or not, as the case may be. I don't think it wants me to copy that, in which case I'll skip that for now, and skip this for now as well. Now again, once you've got this set up, you're going to get an email from Google. It's pretty straightforward. You'll come into this Google My Business view, and you're just going to go through each of these tabs in turn and just make sure that you've updated the information in there and it's as accurate as it can be. It is definitely worth putting some pictures in here. Ideally, of course, if you've got reviews, you want to get those reviews, and if you haven't, you want to start getting reviews, because Google will again give you higher priority if you start getting reviews on your Google page. But as I say, it's pretty straightforward. Don't worry so much about posts. We're not going to be posting content on Google at this point. They're not particularly good as a social platform. We're going to use Facebook and LinkedIn predominantly for that, but you can aggregate the posts into here if you want to. So that's your Google My Business setup, and then finally we're just going to go to Google Search Console, which is just going to give us a little bit more information with regards to the web traffic that we want. And again, just tell Google that we exist, basically. Now this is ultimately going to tell Google that you have a website and that you want them to crawl it, and as they crawl it, they index it. So every time that you do an update, Google knows about it, and you're going to get that little bit of SEO juice that I mentioned earlier. So domain here is https unified communications .technology. Okay, it doesn't want that on there, that's fine. Okay, that's fine, and because we've done it this way, they've already verified ownership, so we can go to the property. And as I say here, Search Console, you're not going to have to come into very often, but it does track your performance of the website, and it will start to give you intelligence on where your leads are coming from and that kind of stuff. But ultimately, we're going to use a plugin, and we're going to put that on our WordPress site, and all of these applications will work seamlessly behind one application inside your WordPress. So fundamentally, that is it. Now, as far as your bookmarks are concerned, I tend to have a business folder, and then within that business folder I've got the 8 main categories that I spoke about earlier. And any time you're doing something you think, right, I'm going to potentially want to come back to that, just save that in the relevant folder. Now I did have initially a copy of this where you could upload it, but I haven't found a way for you to import it without all these other folders of mine. So you can just kind of get an idea of what's in here. So, you know, these are all the different marketing tools we use, and these are the various sales tools we use. But again, through the process of this course, you're going to get access to all these tools, and as you do that, say just create a folder now, set them up in your own bookmarks, and then your job done. So that's it. We've registered a domain. Our email calendar and contact has already been set up in Google as part of that suite. We're going to connect that to our CRM in another video. Our analytics are done, our ads are done, my business is done, Search Console is done, and we've really now got a good platform on which to move forward. So that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.